Thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to this presentation on the Phase 2 development efforts of the Advanced Resources New Recruiter Business Development Certification Training Program. You have received this presentation because you have been identified as a subject matter expert on what we call as a SME for the Advanced Resources New Recruiter Business Development Training Program. What we need is your knowledge, explanation of application, demonstration of skills, additional knowledge, and sharing of best practices. I will be using your documentation to create and then collect existing documentation for knowledge and tasks that you perform in your role on a daily basis. Take a moment to just review this learning framework. Here you can see it's separated into two parts, the formal learning and the informal learning. Our goal is to create a program which will encompass formal learning of the content, but the informal learning piece will be taking place hands-on at the job and with a coach. We will be putting together self-study modules and webinars that will encompass the formal learning piece. Additional resources, communities of practice, and social avenues will be used to create the informal learning avenues as well. Within this framework, your help is needed to create the self-paced, web-based training, as well as provide insight into additional job aids, learning videos, and external courses that may exist that would help to support the topic. We will be presenting this training in the following framework. What we do from a big picture is marketing plus recruiting, which will equal a placement. We will then begin to break each of those into its own separate components. Both the recruiting role and the marketing role have been broken down into specific tasks. Here you can see for recruiting that the tasks have been developed into candidate development, thorough candidate interview, viability of candidates, matching the needs of the candidate, briefing the candidate, presentation of opportunity, debriefing the candidate, closing process, and follow-up. A similar process has been outlined on the business development side as well. For each of those stages of the recruiting process, we will then break those down into the components that make up each stage. So for example, under candidate development, we'll be looking at what to sell and what are your selling objectives, who to contact and how do you plan for that, what to say and how to create scripts, and how do you handle objections. Under thorough candidate review, we'll be looking at candidate interview process and reference checks. The following is an example of what the self-study portion of the certification program may look like. For each module, there will be specific content or skills outlined and presented to the learner. Each module will follow the structure listed below. First, there will be a trigger, some sort of a conversation, phone call, email, or story to set the stage for the content. Next, there will be the learning targets. We want the learner to know 3 questions which will lead them into the actual content. Knowledge and skills, this is the real meat of the module in terms of presenting the new information that needs to be retained. This will be the critical pieces of information that will be essential for the new hire to know in order to perform this task. Next, there will be a gamified knowledge check and tracking. This is going to test the content and the retention. And finally, we'll link them to related resources that could be additional job aids, websites, blogs, or additional resources that would be helpful for them to perform this particular task. The purpose of the self-study is to really set the stage and give them the content that they need to have some context for going in and seeing the real-life example. For each module or a series of modules, there will be the following follow-up action that may look something like shadowing that skill or demonstration of live applicability at the desk level. There may be a developed deliverable, such as a call script or a call plan. They may also conduct live call recordings and then be able to get feedback when applicable. We'll also be checking in with the manager to review this content or skill. As I'm asking you to submit content for each of the topics, I thought it would be helpful to give you an idea of what a module might look like. Here you can see just a screenshot of what a scenario might look like if we were doing the kickoff for a module around candidate interviewing and best practices. Once the scenario has been kicked off, the learner will then go into the self-study where they can begin to read and review content that will help them to be able to perform the task themselves. Again, a quick screenshot of what it might look like for them to then review the content in a gamified challenge. Based on your content, we'll be able to pull questions and answers that will help them to A, check their retention, and B, see the applicability in a situational circumstance. We will be able to track their scores, which will then result in being able to track their ability to move through the certification program. The goal will be to keep the self-studies short and to the point, but additionally, we will add to that links to additional resources such as job aids, how-to videos, recordings of live call conversations, and links to external training recordings. So how do we get to the point of creating a program that looks like this? Well, we need your content and expertise. So how are we going to do that? First, I am going to provide you the topic that your director or manager has asked that you participate in. I will do that by providing you a content collection template. Next, I will schedule a brief meeting to ensure your understanding of what we're trying to achieve, and then set deadlines that are reasonable or can be adjusted from what I have set previously. And next, upon receiving your content, I'll review and contact you as needed for clarification to different examples or anything else that may need to be clarified as I go through the content. Thank you again for taking the time, and I appreciate your effort and collaboration as we build this program together.